Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, Episode 8. For those of you listening, you might notice that this podcast came out a little late this week. Basically, the reason for that is that earlier in the week, like for the last few days, my throat had been killing me, and my voice was practically gone. Like, honestly, I didn't even think I was going to be able to record this week, because it was like that bad. However, I woke up today, and I felt much better, still not 100%, but much better. And so I decided that I was gonna, record, even if it was a little bit late. Because, I enjoy doing the podcast. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of you who seem to really enjoy it. You guys seem to enjoy the news that I have to talk about. And yeah, I just really like interacting with all of you guys. So I thought that, hey, if I'm able to, why not do it, With that being said, though, I don't know how long my voice will last. So let's just try to get this thing started. Beginning with my week, I had said last week that I was going to try to bring some new content to the table, and I kept my promise. So beginning with manga that I read, there's a manga that I actually read and finished this week, and trust me, this is going to be a very weird one to describe, but I think it's a really good series. So like I said, just bear with me, right? So the manga that I read this week is a series called Masturbation Master Kurosawa. Like I said, bear with me, I know that sounds super weird. Basically, the premise of this manga is that there's this 14-year-old kid, he's like a junior high school student, and he loves to masturbate. Like, it's his hobby, right? Every day after school, he waits until everybody's basically gone home, and he sneaks into the girl's bathroom, and he just jerks it while fantasizing about different classmates, right? Alright, so where the story gets interesting, where it amps up, is that one day he sees this nerdy girl in his class she's getting bullied, she's getting harassed by these other, popular girls. And when he notices that no one's standing up for this girl, and everyone's making fun of her and just letting the bullying happen, he decides that he's going to take matters into his own hands. And so he steals the girls' uniforms, blows his load all over them, and then puts them back. And indeed, the girls find the uniforms, they're grossed out, they're embarrassed, everything's awkward. And so yeah, he feels like justice has been served, because this shows them that they're not above also getting harassed and bullied the way they've been harassing the girl. And so they kind of lay off, What happens though is that this nerdy girl apparently knows he's up to something. And so she confronts him and she says, hey, I know what you did. If you don't target these other girls who have been harassing me, I'm gonna report you. And so that's where the series gets really interesting, because now he has to basically do what she's asking of him, or else she'll report him. And yeah, it's just this very strange series. However, what's interesting is that if all of this sounds like a ecchi comedy, or it sounds like it's supposed to be over the top, almost like a hentai or something, that's the thing. This series is really interesting because it's actually really serious, and it's actually this drama, which is really interesting. Basically, we see that this kid is really antisocial. He's kind of aimless in life. He doesn't know what he wants to do when he grows up. So for him, masturbation is almost like a form of escapism. And yeah, that's what makes this manga really unique, that you think it's going to be about gags, and it's going to be really raunchy and stuff. But it's actually this very character-driven story, where we watch this kid basically, grow as the series progresses. He starts off doing these things, as a petty form of justice. But as the series progresses, we see how he deals with the consequences of the stuff he does. We see consequences of bullying. We see him open up to other people. We see his relationship with that girl who's blackmailing him. It's a really interesting series. I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but it's just really hard to talk about because it's just such a weird premise, all right? The fact that masturbation is a key plot point is super weird, but trust me when I say that the manga is really good. And it's only 31 chapters, so you can read it really quickly, like I said, in a week or less. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It is a very strange story, but it's a very smart story. And the way that we see this character grow up throughout the series is awesome. So it sounds weird, but I definitely recommend Masturbation Master Kurosawa. Moving on, I watched a couple of new anime this week. in order to talk to you about it. The first one is one that I was actually pretty disappointed in. I'm talking about Plastic Nee-san. I checked it out. It's supposed to be like really funny. It's supposed to be basically about these girls in this club where they make like model figures. And I don't know, like the way it was described sounded kind of like a Sobia Sobase, honestly. 3 girls in a club getting into shenanigans, and so it caught my attention, right? However, after watching it, I was really disappointed because I feel like the jokes are very hit or miss. I feel like there's not really any time to develop the characters, honestly. Because, that's the thing I forgot to mention. It's 13 episodes, but each are only like 2 minutes long. So yeah, I mean, that's what I thought was like a weakness of the show, that because it's so short, like you don't have time to develop the characters, you don't really have time to develop any of like the gags, set up the punchline. Like everything's just basic jokes, but the jokes are just very hit or miss because they just feel really random, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was quite disappointed because I was expecting something along the lines of like Asobi Asobase or I don't know, like Cromartie High School, where it's like gags involving people at school. But yeah, I just thought it was really weak and I wouldn't recommend it. So I just thought I'd talk about it because maybe you guys have different opinions if you've watched it. But for me, I was disappointed. So likewise, I finished watching Digimon Adventure Tree. Basically, I had been watching the different movie parts as they came out. And I had gotten up to number 4. And when it hit number 4, I kind of started losing interest because I felt like the story was kind of dragging on and stuff. And yeah, unfortunately, having just seen part 5 and 6, those came out a while ago, but I thought it'd be a good time to finish the series off and see what I thought about it. I'll admit, I'm kind of disappointed in Digimon Adventure Tree. While the premise was like really interesting because, I don't know if any of you guys know, but basically Digimon Adventure Tree is supposed to follow the protagonists from the first, like season/series, whatever. It's supposed to follow all of them, and it's about them being older now and how they've kind of drifted apart. But when the Digimon show up, everybody comes back together and there's supposed to be this big adventure or whatever. And while it started off really interesting, and I did enjoy seeing kind of the characters, where they're at now and how they're older, what they're up to. And while it was nice to see the Digimon again, it was like a nostalgia factor there. I just felt like the story really dragged out. I felt like the characters didn't really grow much. I felt like they were just there. Some of the fight scenes were pretty cool because I feel like they kind of amped up the fight scenes. They didn't feel as like cartoony. They felt like more anime style, where there's like big epic fights. But then like as the series went on, those felt kind of like too. So yeah, I was just really disappointed. And then the ending felt very weak to me. I feel like it ended on I feel like it ended in a way where it's like really, that's the payoff. I mean, it's hard to describe unless you've seen it and unless you really grew up with Digimon. But yeah, as a kid, I used to love Digimon, so hearing that this like series was coming out was great. But yeah, after having watched it, I was really disappointed. So I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it. Finally, the last new anime that I watched, and I honestly don't know if I recommend it or not because it is just so weird. But I watched this series called Serial Experiments Lain, and basically, I feel like this is almost like a sister series to Paranoia Agent. I don't know if anyone watched my video where I talk about the 7 like spooky anime, for like Spooktober or whatever. But in that list, I talked about Paranoia Agent. And Paranoia Agent is basically this like really surreal, unsettling series that's really like psychological driven. It's basically about, how we spread paranoia as a society, and it has like supernatural elements to it, and it's just like really trippy, but it's really good. And similar to that, Serial Experiments Lain also has like really surreal imagery, and it's also like really unsettling, but instead of being more about like society and like psychological, it's more about like sci-fi and like fear of technology, if that makes sense. Like basically what happens in the story is that there's this 14-year-old girl named Lain, and she's like very shy, and she's very like bad with technology. And one day she gets an email from a fellow student that committed suicide. And okay, the girl's dead. How does she receive an email? But the email is like really creepy because it's from the girl saying that with technology out there and like the internet being a thing, she doesn't need a physical body anymore. That's why she killed herself. And so from there, the series just like really gets crazy, where it's about this little girl exploring technology and like the equivalent of like the internet. And like the deeper she gets into it, like the more weird stuff she discovers, and the line between technology and the real world kind of gets blurred. And it's just very trippy, very strange. It's the kind of series that by the time you're done, you still don't really know what happened. However, if you enjoy surreal things, like I said, like Paranoia Agent, or, you know, you like stuff that has to do with like sci-fi and like philosophy and, you know, blurring the line and like who are we, that kind of stuff, I think you'll enjoy it. I know it's not for everybody, but like I said, if it sounds interesting to you at all, I would say check it out. I thought it was pretty good, but like I said, I thought it was really trippy, and afterwards, I wasn't completely sure what I watched. So I recommend it, but only if you think that you'll be able to appreciate it, you know? If not, yeah, you might want to stay away because it is a very confusing series, so... Moving on, when it comes to any movies that I watched, didn't really watch anything. I did rewatch A Silent Voice. I actually showed it to my sister, and that's what kind of prompted me to make the video. If you guys have checked out my channel, a few days ago I made a review about A Silent Voice. Like I said, basically because I was showing it to my sister, that's kind of what prompted me to make that review. So yeah, I rewatched The Silent Voice. I think it's really good. I continue to recommend it. But like I said, not anything new necessarily. That movie is like a couple years old at this point, but it's really good. When it comes to TV shows, I did watch one TV show, and that was season 13 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Basically, I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, if you've seen the show, it's more of the same thing. And if you haven't seen the show, you need to watch it because Sunny in Philadelphia is great. The way it just like always pushes the envelope and just makes fun of stuff, and the way that the protagonists are all terrible people, but they're endearing because you've been following them since the beginning is great. And yeah, season 13 was more of the same. It was just a bunch of like really funny stuff. I thought those were some really good episodes. I thought the Me Too episode was great. I mean, for all the wrong reasons, but it was hilarious. And yeah, there was some weak episodes. I felt the one where basically like the only female of like the group, D, she tries to like basically redo an episode from like a season or two ago, but it's like the all-female reboot, you know, like it's making fun of all that. And it was okay, you know, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great. So that's what I mean when I say that there's some really good episodes, but you know, there's some weaker episodes. However, overall, I thought the season was great, and I thought the fact that Dennis was missing most of the time was kind of weird, but I'm still glad that he was there for episodes, you know? Once again, in case you don't know, this show is run by basically the people who act in it, also produce and write the show, and one of them said he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to continue with the show. People were really worried last season. However, he came back and he is there. I mean, he's missing like 40% of the time, but at least the character is back. And so that was nice. And it's nice to see that the show's still going. I mean, it's been on for 13 seasons, which is what, like almost like 13 years, basically. And yeah, the show's been doing great. And the fact that it can still make me laugh and still find new ways to, like I said, push the envelope and be crazy is awesome. And so I recommend it, you know? Moving on to stuff that I played. Last week, I talked about how I played Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, you know, the demo. And same thing, this week I played Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight, and yeah, I mean, if you like Persona, if you like the Persona music, I think you'll enjoy it. If you like rhythm games, same thing. Not really much to say about it, it's just a demo, it's pretty short. However, the one thing I will say is I think it is really funny how Persona 3 out of 3, 4, and 5 is like the darkest story, and it's all about having to fight the darkness that's going to consume the world and kill everything. And so the story is really dark. And so seeing them taking the time out to like dance is really funny because I don't know where in the plot that's supposed to have happened. So that's funny. You know what I mean? If anyone's played the game, I think I know you know what I mean. But besides that, like I said, it's a fun game. I'm enjoying it. I think when the games come out in December, I might see if I can buy both. Because, I mean, I just really enjoy the Persona series, and I like rhythm games to an extent, so, yeah. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about, I played Let's Go Eevee. I actually bought the Eevee version of the game, and I really like it, guys. I know a lot of people have been hating on the nets on the new Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu Pokemon games because they basically integrate the Pokemon Go style of catching Pokemon and stuff. And a lot of people were just worried that the game's too easy and they were hating all over it. But honestly, after having played the game, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. I do think that it is very simplified, but I don't think all of that's a bad thing. Like, for instance, now instead of just having random encounters on the overworld, like you see all the Pokemon running around, and so you can kind of choose whether to approach them or not. So that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, there's still battles against gym leaders. There's still battles against trainers. So, I mean, yeah, they took out battling Pokemon, like in the wild. But I don't know. I mean, just think about it as if like everything was like the Safari Zone, right? You know, like if you think about it that way, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I still think the game's fun. I think the different like outfits for your Pokemon, I think they're really cute. I think the fact that you can have like a second Pokemon like running around behind you, or you're like riding it or whatever, I think that's really fun. There's some really fun stuff. Like at one point, I got a Snorlax, and I was riding the Snorlax, and it just looks hilarious. And another part, I had a Magikarp following me, and so it's just flopping around chasing me. I thought that was really funny. And yeah, like I said, I've just really enjoyed the games. I think everyone should, you know. I mean, I don't know. If you think it's not the thing for you, I get it. But I still wouldn't write off the game that simply, you know what I mean? Because I think it's really fun. But yeah, I've had a good time with it, and I'm going to continue playing it. So there you go. And yeah, that's basically all I did with my week, guys. I mean, I didn't do as much as I had hoped. I was hoping to pick up like a second manga series and watch more anime, you know, that kind of thing. But still, I still think that I had a pretty productive week. I still managed to like read a new manga series, watch a new anime, play some stuff. So yeah, there you have it. With that being said, though, let's transfer over to the news. And of course, the first news story that I want to talk about is something that, you know, is a pretty big news story this week. And that is that Stan Lee passed away at 95 on Monday, I believe. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. I think it's sad. I know he'll be missed. I know I'm going to miss Stan Lee in the cameos because I always had a lot of fun seeing him in Marvel cameos, you know? But yeah, I mean, he passed away, and at least he lived to be 95. I mean, I think that's a pretty good age. I know he had his ups and downs. I know that the last few years, there was these talks of if he was getting abused, you know, like elderly abuse by, I think it was like his manager or something. And I know that he was struggling with, you know, a lot of stuff like that. Like the fact that his wife died last year. I know that was like rough on him or whatever. But, you know, I mean, hopefully he's in a better place now. He'll be missed. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. You know, the death of people is always kind of awkward. I don't really know how to address it, but I guess all I can say is that, you know, he passed away, but I hope he's in a better place now. He'll be missed by all his fans. And yeah, I guess, you know, pour one out for Stan Lee. I'm grateful that he brought us all this cool comic book stuff and that we have the MCU now. I guess you can say in part thanks to him. And yeah, I mean, rest in peace, Stan Lee, I guess. Moving on to something a little more lighthearted. I think it's really cool that the Game Awards 2018 nominees have been announced. I know a lot of people hate Game Awards or, you know, any awards show because they feel that's all a popularity contest. And it feels like it's just the industry kind of, you know, circle jerking it and just congratulating themselves and patting themselves on the back, basically, you know, based on like money and what's popular and stuff. And, you know, I get it. I do agree to an extent. However, I think the Game Awards tries its best to be fun, you know. I've always had fun watching it. And, you know, like last year, Nier Automata won for Best Soundtrack. The fact that Nier Automata, you know, isn't like a very, I would say it's kind of a niche game. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people knew what it was. So I think the fact that they talked about it there was great. And so I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, I get it. It is still like a popularity contest, basically. I know a lot of things win based on because they're popular, but I try to not look at it that way. I try to look at it a little bit more positively and, you know, just enjoy it for what it is, which is games getting recognized. And, you know, I always love the trailers. I think the fact that they're pushing so hard to have like new game trailers and game announcements during the show is fun. So, I mean, I'll look forward to it. And I don't know what you guys think about it, but I don't know. I think stuff like this is fun. And yeah, I just wanted to share it with you guys. If you want to see the nominations, you can look in the link in the description below. But I'm looking forward to it. And so, let me know what you think. Moving on. I thought this story was really interesting because I think it's really funny. So basically, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate released a TV spot. And it's this TV spot where it basically shows the Super Smash Bros. Banner coming to life. And all the characters are like interacting and fighting and whatever. And what I think is so cool is that Nintendo didn't put music with it. And so people have been taking a chance to put in their own music. And yeah, I think just the fact that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has all these memes surrounding it is like super funny and it's super awesome. So like for this one, for instance, people have been putting in gangster rap. People have been overlaying the trailer with K-pop songs, with like the intro to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, different stuff like that. However, my absolute favorite that just fits in very well, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but basically somebody grabbed the TV spot and they overlaid Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. And it just goes together so well and it's so cool. And I don't know, like I said, I just thought it's a fun story to share because I think the fact that the TV spot has gotten all these remixes is really fun. And I'm just enjoying it. And I'm enjoying all the Smash Ultimate memes. And the fact that the game only comes out like in a month, like I'm super excited. So I just want to share that with you guys real quick. Let's see, what else do we got on here? Oh, striking while the iron is ice cold. I don't know how many of you have heard of PUBG, but apparently PUBG, also known as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, is coming to PS4 on December 7th. So yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, I would kind of say is what made Battle Royale like a big thing in recent years. I would say they kind of did it first. However, what's sad is that even though they started it, Fortnite just swooped in and it just was more popular because of its cartoony art style and like the fact that it was free and the fact that it was on all the consoles and stuff. And yeah, so now PUBG is trying to play catch up and it's basically released on December 7th. And I don't know. I just think it's kind of sad because, like I said, they're still trying their best to put themselves out there. But at this point, no one cares because people are either playing Fortnite or they're playing, stuff like Call of Duty, Blackout or whatever. So yeah, I mean, I wish them the best, I guess, but I don't know how that's going to go for them. So that's kind of sad. Meanwhile, while PUBG was striking while the iron is ice cold, striking while the iron is still pretty hot, A Series of Unfortunate Events Season 3 has a premiere date. So I'm pretty excited for this. If you guys have been on my channel, you've seen that I released the review for Season 1, the review for Season 2. I really love the show. I'm excited to see how it ends. And so yeah, basically, it's been announced that Season 3 is going to premiere on January 1st, 2019. And well, that's really weird, with it being like on a holiday and being on Monday. I'm super excited and I really want to know how the series ends. And so yeah, if you guys want to check it out, there's like a little like teaser trailer sort of thing as part of the story that I'm going to link. But yeah, I'm excited. I want to see how the story ends. And not only that, but I'm glad we're going to see the story end too, because I hate when a show, starts something and then doesn't end it. Like that's something that I really hated, or, I guess you can say disliked about the Series of Unfortunate Events movie. I thought it really sucked how we only got the first 3 books and then we didn't get to see any of the rest of the story. So the fact that they really, rushed it and put this together so we get the whole story covering all 13 books is great. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Another story that I want to talk about is that Amazon Prime and Blumhouse are teaming up for 8 original thriller films. Now, I think the story is interesting and worth sharing because for anyone who doesn't know, Blumhouse is basically the studio that started off making like really small scale movies like Paranormal Activity, Sinister, Insidious, that kind of stuff. And when they started off, it was all these like really small budget movies and they got famous because the movies were really good. And so they grew as a company. And yeah, I just think it's really cool because recently, they helped produce Get Out, and they helped produce the new Halloween. And so, yeah, like the fact that they've grown so much in just a few years, and now they're teaming up with Amazon Prime, like, I think it's a really cool story, you know? Like, I think that the fact that they know what they wanted to do, that they found a way to, you know, market themselves, like, really smartly and make all these movies that make a butt ton of money. Like, I think that's cool. And so that's what I thought made the story worth sharing, you know? I'm looking forward to it because I know that Blumhouse makes some interesting stuff. I'm not a fan of all their stuff. Like, I thought Sinister was kind of dumb, and I thought Insidious was, like, really cheesy. However, I do think the first Paranormal Activity was pretty good. I think that Get Out was a great movie. I've heard that the new Halloween is really good. So yeah, just the fact that they're teaming up with such a big company to make more movies, like, hey, you know, good on them, you know, I wish them the best. And so yeah, let me know if you guys are excited for that, you know? Moving on, the next two stories I have are actually more of like movie trailers. The first one I want to talk about is that Detective Pikachu got a trailer this week. And I don't know what you guys think, but I honestly think it looks pretty cool. Like, I had my doubts about a Pokemon live action movie. And trust me, I still have some doubts because I do know that trailers can make things look better than they are. However, I'm really excited based on what I've seen. I think that the trailer looks really interesting. I think that the story looks really unique, you know? I think the fact that they're going with the character who's like a failed Pokemon trainer, who's like searching for his missing dad or whatever, I think that's really fun. It kind of reminds me of like Roger Rabbit, you know what I mean? Well, Roger Rabbit was like a detective story mixing animation with live action. This seems like it's like a detective story mixing Pokemon with live action. And so I think that looks really cool. I think Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu is weird, but I mean, it seems to work. From what I saw, it seemed pretty funny. And yeah, like I said, the trailer actually I would say looks good, you know? Like, the Pokemon do look weird. There's, like, a certain uncanny valleyness to it, you know? Like, I'm not gonna lie, they do look kind of strange. But then again, I mean, unless they're gonna do, like, game sprites or something, they're trying to, you know, make them look realistic, so I think maybe that's the best they can do. And I don't know, the look is weird, but at the same time, I feel like it kind of goes with it. Because, yeah, I mean, Pikachu as a real creature would be like a little fuzzy cat rat looking thing. And Jigglypuff, I mean, yeah, you're right. As a real creature, I guess it would be like a weird little yarn ball with huge eyes. I mean, that's just the way it is, I guess. So, like I said, I think the trailer looked really interesting. I'm actually excited for this movie. I'm hoping it does well. Because if it does well, that might usher in, you know, more Pokemon live action stuff or whatever. Would be really cool. And yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it looks cool. I am weary because, like I said, I know that trailers can be cut in a way to make a movie look better than it is. But I'm excited for now, so yeah. Meanwhile, when it comes to this other movie trailer that I want to talk about, I feel really indifferent, not gonna lie. So what I'm talking about is the Dumbo official trailer, and I don't know what to think. I mean, on the one hand, I think that it looks pretty interesting for being a Tim Burton movie. By that, I mean that Tim Burton movies always kind of look the same. Like, they always look very dark. They always have like a gothic thing to them. So here I am surprised that it doesn't look like a Tim Burton movie. I don't know if that's like a good sign. And yeah, I mean, like, Dumbo looks really cute. I think the part with him getting separated from his mom, you know, it's kind of sad. So that looks like, you know, it'll at least make the movie have like emotion to it. However, yeah, I feel indifferent to it because, number one, I feel like a lot of these Disney live action movies haven't been great. I know a few weeks ago when there was talks of a Lilo and Stitch live action, I mentioned that, yeah, you know, I think Beauty and the Beast live action wasn't that great. I think what was it called? Peter and the Dragon. I didn't think that was that great. I thought it was pretty mediocre. So Dumbo live action, I mean, I'm not excited for it at all. And I think that the fact that it focuses a lot on like the kids is kind of lame too. Because I think when movies try to like push away from, you know, like the cute cartoon animals and focus on like the kids and like the whole family aspect, sometimes that gets very cliched and kind of boring, you know? But I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'll give it a chance, I guess. But as of right now, not too excited for it. So, Finally, the last story that I want to talk about is that Crunchyroll has removed or is in the process of removing hundreds of Funimation titles. So I think that's a bummer. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Crunchyroll and Funimation are both streaming services for anime. However, while Crunchyroll does the, Japanese audio with English subs, Funimation focuses more on the English dubs side of things. And so what this deal is that Funimation owns certain things like Cowboy Bebop, they have the license to that. But due to this deal, Crunchyroll was hosting the Cowboy Bebop sub. And not just Cowboy Bebop, they were doing this with quite a few titles where they were kind of sharing them and working together. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the deal that they made, I'm reading it right now. So basically what happens is that Sony bought Funimation in 2017. And so because of that, I guess the deal just doesn't hold up anymore. And so yeah, it kind of sucks. So unfortunately, a lot of series that were on Crunchyroll, and especially like I said, hard ones to find like Cowboy Bebop and I think Dragon Ball Super, stuff like that. Unfortunately, yeah, they're not going to be on Crunchyroll anymore. So I think that's disappointing. I think that sucks. I think that when they were teaming up and they had all this stuff they were sharing, I thought it was really cool. I know I was enjoying it because there was some anime series that I hadn't watched that was suddenly added, and I thought that was really fun. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, the contract is done, and so yeah, Crunchyroll has removed a bunch of Funimation titles. I guess if you want to watch them, you can go to Funimation, or you can look for other ways to watch them. But yeah, I'm disappointed. I enjoyed the deal, and I think it sucks that ended, So yeah, with that being said, that's the last of the news stories this week. As always, I hope you guys found something interesting. And yeah, I will apologize if they feel less explained compared to other weeks, or if it feels like I'm not really as animated about the stories as other times. Like I said, my throat's kind of acting up, and so, I don't know, I just feel kind of tired and out of energy a little bit. But hopefully, all the same, you guys found some stories that you enjoyed. And yeah, hopefully it was entertaining, As always, leave a comment in the comment section below with your thoughts on the different stories. So, moving on, it's time for the last part of the podcast, which is, of course, the Content Creator Spotlight. Now, the content creator for this week is a really awesome channel, currently sitting at 220 subscribers, though I think he deserves many, many more. And that is the Lone Wolf Cub. Alright, so for anyone who doesn't know the Lone Wolf Cub, not only is he a really nice guy, always taking the time to watch my videos, comment on them, that kind of thing, but he's also really talented, and basically what he does is that while other people look at newer content, even I do that, and talk about it and do reviews, he looks at older stuff and does these really cool reviews / retrospectives, which I think are really neat. So what I mean by that, for instance, looking at the list of his videos that he did, about a month ago, he has a video titled Predator, in parentheses, special. And so what's cool about that is that he takes the time in the video to talk about every Predator movie in the series, chronologically, and, give his thoughts on them, show some footage, talk about stuff like box office, that kind of thing. And so I don't know, I just think it's really cool because every time you watch one of his videos, you feel like you learned something, which I think is awesome. In this Predator movie, the fact that he describes all of them in order, and you kind of see how the quality declined over time, and he's talking about them. I don't know, I just think it's really cool, and it's really enjoyable. Same thing with his Die Hard special, for instance. He starts talking about how the first movie was really great, and how at the time, not even at the time, even now, the first Die Hard is an excellent action movie. But however, how over time the movies got crappier and crappier. And you can check out the Lone Wolf Cub, but he has some stuff to say about the newest movies. He hates them, and I agree, and just seeing how he does this, where he kind of goes in order of movies, talks about them, is awesome. However, I did say you learn some new stuff. And by that, I mean that if you look at his Starship Troopers review, for instance, I didn't know that Starship Troopers had an animated series, and I didn't know that it had all these spin-off works that go with it. But yeah, in his video, he does the research, and so he talks about all the media in the Starship Troopers franchise. And so that's what I think is really cool about this channel, that I think it's awesome the way he does like reviews / like I said, retrospectives. Cause yeah, I mean, he follows stuff and the way he gives the research about it is really awesome. I always feel like I learned something new when I watch his videos. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I know his channel won't be for everyone because he has a very serious tone. However, if you're looking for someone who isn't, you know, going off the walls and someone who just likes to give you the content and, you know, teach you something, I think you'll love the Lone Wolf Cub. I know I really enjoy his channel every time I'm on there. And not only that, like I said, he is a really awesome dude. I think the fact that he always watches my videos and he takes the time to comment on them is great. And I really appreciate that. So Lone Wolf Cub, if you're watching this, not only do I think that your channel is awesome and I enjoy what you do, I think the way you deliver it is great and I think that works for you. Not only that, but I also appreciate that you always support me, man. I think that's great. And yeah, I appreciate it, dude. So keep up the good work. And with that being said, I think all of you should check out his channel, give him some love. I think that if you check out his channel, I think there will be at least one series that you'll be interested in because I think he has some awesome stuff. And yeah, with that being said, check out the Lone Wolf Cub. His channel will be in the description below. And yeah, guys, that of course brings us to the end of the podcast. That's one more podcast down. Once again, I do want to apologize if I feel kind of tired right now. And like I said, if I sound less animated and if it sounds like I kind of blew through all the news and stuff, I apologize. While I'm not feeling 100%, I still want to do this podcast because I always really enjoy doing this for you guys. And so yeah, like I said, hopefully it was at least somewhat enjoyable. And yeah, with that being said, I don't know if I'll have anything for the week coming up. Full disclosure, I will be out of town, so I don't know if there will be any videos or even a podcast up. But if I don't see you guys next week, then for all of you who celebrate Thanksgiving, you know, like in the United States or whatever, happy Thanksgiving. For those of you who don't, enjoy your weeks all the same. I have been Wannabe Reviewer. I'm feeling quite tired, but I will catch you guys next time.